votes. New York Republican Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis joining us. First question, does he have the votes?
Well, look, I think there's still a few members that are undecided, but hopefully it'll all get figured out by Friday and that we will go in that room united and vote for Speaker Johnson because it's in the best interest of the country. I think at the end of the day, we need to put aside any petty differences we may have. Certainly the Speaker has been willing to hear ideas on how we can improve the process. He's certainly been taking suggestions on what we can do better next year so we can be more successful as a team. But I think at the end of the day, we need to look at the big picture here. We need a Speaker. We need to be able to certify President Trump's election, and we need to start on day one getting the job that the people elected us to do done, which is securing the borders, getting this economy back on track, extending those tax cuts that have benefited the American economy and families. And that's what it's all about, just getting to work.
And to that point, how would it look then to the American people if the House could not get a House Speaker on Friday?
Look, I think it'll be very disappointing. We've been through this before. When we went through the 15 rounds with Speaker McCarthy, it didn't do us any good. It certainly brought Congress to a standstill. And in this case, we don't want to see that happen again. So I really urge my colleagues that we may have some differences and let the Speaker know, talk them out. I certainly shared my ideas on how I think we could run the conference a little better. He's more than willing to take constructive criticism and productive ideas and solutions in trying to incorporate on how we do this. Remember, this is a Speaker who came in with a Democrat president, a Democrat Senate. We controlled 1/3 of the Congress, of the federal government. And so things were obviously much more challenging. But now that we have a Republican trifecta, we need to be united, and we can get so much accomplished if we just stick together. And I think that's what the American people want, a government that is functioning, that does its job, that puts our national security and our economy first. And then we can work out those details each legislative item that comes along. But we also need to recognize that none of us are going to get every single thing that we want in a piece of legislation. When you have 220 members or you have 435 in the entire House, there has to be some give and take. Governing is about giving and taking. It's a negotiation.
Congresswoman, I wanted to ask you, you sit on the Ways and Means Committee right now, and the chairman, Jason Smith, is calling the Senate GOP plan to wait on tax cuts and do the border first. He's calling it reckless. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we need to try to do everything in one reconciliation. You have border states that obviously care about the border. I think a majority of Americans do. It's impacting states all over the country. You have energy-producing states that want to see us ramp up domestic production. It will help lower prices, not just for energy, but for food and goods across the country. And then you have states like New York that care about the SALT deduction, providing some type of SALT relief for constituents. And the people in the Ways and Means Committee, of which I'm a member, I would tell you that tax cuts has to be part of that negotiation. Why? Because if we leave it to the end of the year, it may fall off the table. We need to work it in with everything else that's currently there, because these tax cuts expire at the end of the year. What will happen? You would see the individual tax rate across the board go up, roughly 3 to 5% per bracket. Corporate tax rate that has been so beneficial to helping to stimulate this economy and create jobs, that will increase as well. The standard deduction will be cut in half. The child tax credit will be cut in half. So critical to families. So the alternative minimum tax, which is so important to middle-class families, that would be reinstated. We can't have that.
It would equate to like a 22% tax increase on average for Americans. But can the border security bill, can a tax cut bill be done in one bill, given the razor-thin majority in the House? And should it be done that way?
Well, it can be, and I believe that it should be, for the very reasons I said, because everybody kind of wants something, whether it's the border security or the energy production or the tax cuts. If we put it all together, we can satisfy a lot of members and build consensus that way. And you also have to remember the Senate, with 53 Republican votes, they need 7 votes to pass that something unless we do it in reconciliation. So you may have a difficult time getting 7 Democrat senators to side with us to extend Trump's tax cuts. And so this is something something that is important. We saw millions of Americans benefit, millions of jobs created. We saw repatriation of American business, manufacturing. We can build on that success. And you also have President Trump wanting to lower taxes for seniors. We want to increase that standard deduction, provide some SALT relief. So the only way we're going to do that, I think, is if we get it in the first package. If you leave it to the end of the year, you're going to have a real risk of the whole thing expiring, which will be detrimental to our economy and to the American families that we represent.
Congressman Nicole Malliotakis, thank you for your time on this. I appreciate it. In the great state of New York, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Yep.